All right. What's up, people? Josh here, Momentum Productions. Let me make sure sound is working. Right. All right, cool. Sound is working. Gonna wait a few minutes for you guys to tune in. That way we can talk. I do have a pretty interesting story for you about how I and we're gonna go over some tips on how you can avoid this happening to you because you can get a pretty big fine. Um, a few weeks ago, I was just I was in this place called Will Rogers State Park in California off of Pacific Coast Highway. Um, I was just in the area and I had my drone in my trunk and I wanted to take a few pictures, just to put on my phone. I wanted some cool wallpapers for my phone. So, so this is what happened. I was in the park. I took out my drone. I took off the drone. It was flying. About 10 minutes later, a ranger car pulls up, and he immediately tells me to land. He says, "You can't fly this here," and he starts really intimidating me. He questions me for a good 45 minutes. A good 45 minutes. And I blanked out. I completely forgot what my rights were, what I was allowed to do, and what I wasn't allowed to do. So the ranger did take advantage of being more controlled than me. So he knew the law. I at the time didn't know the law because I was just blanking out. But here's the thing. State parks are not affiliated with the FAA. All right, the FAA is the only um, the only sovereignty over airspace, meaning that they are the only ones who can dictate what is going to be a no-fly zone. State parks have no right in saying if they are no-fly zone. However, under their jurisdiction, they're allowed to make laws regarding where you take off and where you land and where you operate the drone. So, in other words, state parks can control if you're operating a drone on their property, they can fine you. However, let's say you're in Santa Monica Beach, you're on a yacht, you're in the ocean on a yacht, and you want to take a picture of the pier, right? Technically, if you're on the pier and you take off, you're breaking the state or Santa Monica ordinance or their rules. However, if you're on your boat, which is on which is private property on the ocean, you are technically alive. You are technically allowed to lift off from the boat and circle the pier, as long as you're not flying over people and keeping your distance away from people, and as long as you're flying below 400 feet, and as long as you're 5 miles away from an airport. However, if you take off from a state park, just take off. You're going to get in trouble. But if you live near a state park and you take off from your home and you keep within line of sight and you fly through a state park, there's nothing wrong with it. As long as you stay on your private property, you're allowed to fly technically wherever you want, as long as there's no federal government issued no-fly zones or flight restrictions or anything like that. So keep that in mind. I want to go over a law with you, and if a ranger ever stops you or says or tries to harass you, even if you did take off from a state park, and he or she says, "Oh, this is a no-fly zone. You're not allowed to fly here." I'm going to share with you a law. I'm going to give you the number of the law too, so you guys can mark it down and Google it and do whatever you want. This is very, very important. I came across this was months ago. All right, and come on, where is it? Here it is. Okay. 49 USC 40103, sovereignty and use of airspace. Sovereignty and public right of transit. Okay, listen to this. The United States government has exclusive sovereignty of airspace of the United States. No other entity may regulate flight, nor may they create a no-fly zone. They may make rules where you may take off and land within their jurisdiction. The National Park Service does just that by prohibiting takeoffs, landings, and operations from park property. An operation is what the FAA calls takeoff or landing. So you will have to check with your park ranger and ask where you may fly your model airplane in the park. If you say drone, they go into a panicked administrative retreat. So there you go. That's the law. All right. So if a ranger harasses you and says, "Oh, this is a no-fly zone," that's absolute BS. They have no control over airspace. However, they do have control if you operate on state park property. All right. Now, it's ridiculous. It's kind of like that stop sign thing, and I'm going to explain to you what happened to me as well. This was years ago. In state parks, especially where in my area, there's cameras, motion cameras, that if you run a stop sign, it's going to take a picture of your license plate. So that's exactly what happened to me. I got a ticket from a camera that took a picture of my license plate, since it says that I ran the stop sign, right? You are not legally obliged to pay for that ticket, because stop sign cameras are technically illegal, and state parks are the only ones that are using that type of cameras. So you are not obliged to pay for it. So this is what happened. I didn't pay for that ticket, and they kept sending me mail saying that, "Oh, we're going to report you to your credit agent. We're going to report you to the credit agency." Months went by. They kept sending me the same mail over and over again, and they never reported me. State parks are ridiculous, and I am completely against their laws. Okay, the whole privacy thing, I understand, but that's not why I got in trouble. That's not why I got in trouble. They actually didn't even write me up for having a drone or flying a drone. They ended up writing me up for flying without buying a film permit, which was absolutely ludicrous, because I wasn't making money flying my drone. I just wanted some cool wallpapers for my iPhone. However, they got me in trouble because I didn't have a film permit. Film permits are for when you have a production crew, when you're making money. I was not making money off of that shoot. I just wanted some pictures for my iPhone. So I just want you to understand that, state parks are a pain in the ass. So if you want, yeah, especially in upstate New York. So if you want to fly in a state park, do it on the hush-hush, do it away from, any ranger offices, because they're honestly, they aren't, some rangers are extremely nice. The ones at Will Rogers State Park harassed me. They threatened me as well. There was one ranger, quote, all right, this is what he said to me. I can write you a citation, or I can leave you in the mountains there and let the buzzards eat you. He said some stupid, idiotic thing like that, and I had a witness with me too. So technically I could sue him for that. So that ranger, what kind of person says that to you? And then there were other areas where I also flew, and the rangers were cool with it. So it all depends on the ranger, to be honest. It's really not about the film permit at all. It's all about the ranger. If the ranger's having a bad day, or if he has nothing else better to do, he's going to harass you. He's going to say, "Oh, you can't fly a drone. Like, seriously, that is such a pain, you know? And it was all about, to break it down, it was all about the film permit. It had nothing to do with the drone. Um, because drones are still relatively new, and I guess they didn't know what kind of ticket to write me from taking off or landing in state parks. Visit a friend's house who lives near a state park and take off from his house or her house. Um, but when it comes to airspace, they have no jurisdiction over airspace. All right. So let's answer some questions. I know a few of you were wondering about this. I guess I was one of the few people that got in trouble for it. But again, it was not getting in trouble with the FAA. I wasn't breaking any laws. But the ranger just decided to harass me because I didn't have a film permit. So, uh, so it was a little, it was cruel what the ranger did. And I'm completely against it. But I just want to warn you guys, just in case if you fall into the same situation, and I'm sure, let me mute my phone, and I'm sure that, especially in New York, it's probably going to be a lot harder to fly your drone than in Los Angeles, but just be very cautious, be very careful. Um, use this app called Hover. Download it because that's going to warn you if you're within an airport or if you're in a state park and there's going to be it's a great app. I was actually visiting my brother a few weeks ago in San Francisco, and on the way back I stopped by Monterey, and I wanted to take off. I had my drone with me. I wanted to take off from Fisherman's Wharf, and I opened up Hover, and it said, "Hey, you're near an airport. Give them a call." And that's exactly what I did. I called the air traffic controller in the tower, and within 2 minutes, I got transferred over. I said, "Yeah, I got a drone with me. I want to take off. Can you grant me permission?" They said yes without hesitation. Just fly under 400 feet. This was in Fisherman's Wharf in Monterey Bay, and I called the tower. Airports are moderated by the FAA. FAA is so much cooler than state parks because they're much more lenient. They're not about the money. State parks are about the money. It's all capitalism, guys. They all want money, which is why they write you up. They don't care about the safety. State parks don't care about safety. They care about getting money. So they're going to write you up if you don't have the right permit. They don't even care if you have a drone license. They don't. I asked him. He said, "No, we don't care. You don't have a film permit, we're going to write you up." So it's always about the money. And man, after I got home, I was so pissed because I completely forgot I blanked out. I was actually kind of scared. I was like, "Oh my God, is he gonna arrest me? Is he gonna report me to the FAA?" I didn't know my mind was blanking, so I didn't know the law. Um, but it was messed up, and it was a bad experience. And I'm just telling you that in Monterey, I called the air traffic controller, and he said, "Yeah, dude, take off, have fun, enjoy yourself." I mean, come on. Don't you find that to be a little bit ridiculous? I mean, I think it's despicable, in my opinion. Um, so, MC Drone, you were stopped by a warden. Oh, man. So, did he take your drone? Did the warden take your drone? I hope not. The ranger threatened to take my drone, um, but they didn't. Um, honestly, if you get caught, you got to be humble. That's my best advice. I was extremely humble. I respected them, even though I didn't like the way they were treating me and how they were talking to me, the Rangers. I was very humble. You know, they were very cocky, they were very in my face, but I was the humble man. And if this happened to me a few years ago when I was a little more ill tempered, things could have went a lot worse for me. So this goes with anything in life, especially law enforcement. Always be humble. Always be humble. Never be a jerk. Because at that time, they have authority over you. They have authority over you. By law, they can take you in and do this and do that. So instead of giving them an attitude and making it a hard time on them and yourself, always be humble. I got caught speeding. I've gotten, cops have pulled me over for speeding, and I ended up being very, very humble to them, and they appreciated it. I respected them, and they let me off without writing me a ticket. I mean, it's all about being humble. So if you do get in trouble, be humble. Never be a jerk. That goes without saying. I mean, jerks never get it their way. All right, they never win. The humble guy always wins. Remember that. And I'm reading a book called The 48 Laws of Power, and it talks to you it tells you just about that, how to be humble, how to not talk too much, how to not undertalk, but how to say exactly the right amount. And it strictly says in that book that you got to be humble. It's one of a very powerful trait a person can have. All right. Yeah, MC Drone. Yeah, so you're in the UK, so you probably got different laws. I'm just talking about the United States in general. State parks, man. I don't I don't like state parks anymore. I really don't. I was following federal law, but apparently I wasn't following state park law. So just remember that. And yes, MC Drone, definitely ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Yeah, definitely. But I did end up getting my pictures, so it's not all that bad. I did end up getting some pictures, and I just got harassed by the Rangers. They had nothing else better to do. Will Rogers State Park. Stay away from that park. Don't pay for the parking. Don't pay for anything at that park. Seriously, they are not good people at Will Rogers State Park. Stay away. Go to other beaches. Go to Zuma or something like that and talk to the Rangers over there. They're a lot nicer in the Zuma area. If you're in Los Angeles, you know what I'm talking about. But Will Rogers State Park, stay away. I even, uh, you know, even in Santa Monica, the Rangers are nicer. Cops have seen me fly my drone in Santa Monica. Cops. They were more interested than scared. They said, "Yeah, oh, what kind of drone is that? That's cool. Just be careful. Don't fly too high because we got low flying helicopters." That's literally what they told me, and then they took off. So I was flying maybe 50 feet because the helicopters in Santa Monica fly very, very low. I hear that, what is it? They teach up and coming uh, helicopter pilots over there. So, it, when it comes down to it, it's all about the person you're dealing with. Um, so be humble, be kind, be respectful, and you will get the best outcome possible. All right. So I just wanted to come on and tell you guys about this strange thing going on with state parks. I don't agree with it, um, but it's state park law. It's you're taking off and landing and operating a drone from their property, so I guess they can do whatever they want. But know your rights. Remember that law I showed you. Know your rights. Don't let them harass you. So yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. I got some stuff I got to do. I got to edit, and I will talk to you soon. Peace. And remember, stay humble, be kind, and stay respectful. I'll talk to you later. Bye.